Gemini 3.6, GPT 5.6 Sol, and Grok 4.5 all want to be the model sitting inside your research agent, and I ran the same 5 tests on all 3 to find out which one actually earns that spot. The surprise is that the cheapest sticker price in this whole comparison isn't the cheapest model once you turn on the features research work actually needs. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one to point your research pipeline at, and which one's price tag is quietly lying to you. Research agents run hundreds of calls a day, so the per token price is the number that decides whether the project stays cheap or turns into a real bill. On official pricing, output tokens run $7.50 per million for Gemini 3.6, $30 per million for GPT 5.6 Sol, and $6 per million for Grok 4.5. That's Sol at 5 times Grok's price for the same million tokens. A community-reported blended estimate tells the same story. Roughly $4.50 per million for Gemini, $17.50 for Sol, and $4.6 for Grok, so Sol is still over 4 times Grok's real-world cost. But there's a wrinkle. Directional community consensus data says Gemini 3.6 Flash burns about 17% fewer output tokens than its predecessor, which means its effective cost per finished task drops below the sticker price. Grok's token efficiency has no comparable figure at all. On raw price, Grok 4.5 wins this test. That's Grok 4.51, Gemini 3.60, GPT 5.6. Sol 0, though I'd flag that Gemini's efficiency edge is the kind of thing that closes a price gap fast at scale. My name is Brian and I review AI software, so you don't have to. A research agent that can't reason through a messy multi-step task hands you wrong answers dressed up as confident ones. GPT 5.6 Sol scores 58.9 on the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index against Gemini's 50, and Grok has no published figure there at all. On DeepSWE, a long horizon task benchmark, Sol hits 73% against Gemini's 49%, again with no number for Grok. On SWE Bench Verified, Sol scores 96.2% and Grok scores 86.6%, with no published figure for Gemini this time, so these two numbers come from different sources, tracking different models. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Sol's Goldie Bench head-to-head record backs up the lead too. 40 wins to 7 against Opus, 31 to 10 against MOA, 38 to 9 against GLM. GPT 5.6 Sol wins this test clean. That's GPT 5.6 Sol 1, Gemini 3.6 0, Grok 4.50, and Grok now sits at 1 point overall to Sol's 1. A research agent that sits there thinking before it starts typing breaks the whole point of automating a search and synthesize loop. On throughput, Gemini 3.6 puts out roughly 304 tokens per second, Grok 4.5 runs around 91 to 119, and GPT 5.6 Sol trails at about 61.7. That's Gemini running close to 5 times faster than Sol. Time to first token tells an even sharper story. Gemini answers in roughly 12 to 15 seconds and Grok in roughly 13 to 17, both in the same range, but Sol's hidden reasoning step can delay its first token by up to 154 seconds. That's over 2 minutes of nothing before Sol says a word. Gemini 3.6 wins this test. That's Gemini 3.61, GPT 5.6, Sol 1, Grok 4.51, and every one of these 3 has exactly 1 win heading into the next test. Stick with me, because the last 4 tests are where this decision actually flips. Research work means feeding a model long documents and getting long answers back, so both ends of this test matter. On context window, Gemini and Sol both hold close to 1 million tokens, and Grok sits at roughly 500,000, half of the other two. The separator is max output. That part is a genuine tie between Gemini and Sol. Sol can generate up to 128,000 tokens in a single response. Gemini caps around 65,000, and Grok's practical ceiling sits around 32,000 to 64,000. Next up is deployment and modality, the test that quietly decides whether the rest of this comparison even matters. On deployment and modality, Gemini 3.6 pulled clearly ahead once the workload got real. So Gemini 3.6 takes deployment and modality, and the scoreboard shifts its way. Here is where Gemini 3.6 clearly pulls ahead of the field. Now, here is where GPT-5.6 Sol clearly pulls ahead of the field. Here is where Grok 4.5 clearly pulls ahead of the field. Pick the one whose single biggest strength matches the job in front of you today. One thing the docs never spell out will quietly cost you if you miss it. If this helped, the next breakdown on the channel goes even deeper.